right, guys, you did it. You made it to the final and therefore best comic of the night. My wife's here tonight. She's been drinking all day, so that's going to be fun for me. It's Valentine's Day, so I bought her a dozen roses because I'm a romantic, and she came to my show because she likes to ruin my good time. Hey guys, give it up for Chris at the bar. Chris! Yeah, give me drinks. Look, guys, if you're not drinking tonight because you're driving or you're boring, that's fine. But if you are drinking, please keep doing so. I've discovered I'm much funnier when the audience is drunk. I performed at a sober comedy show earlier this year. It didn't go well. Well, technically it was a funeral, but I decided to tell a few jokes, you know. Anyways, R.I.P. Grandpa, we miss ya. Yeah. No, that's not true. Actually, this is true, guys. My grandfather died the day I turned 22 years old. Which, be careful with your birthday wishes, guys. Don't wish angry, you know. Now, he'd been very sick. He was in the hospital. The whole family was gathered with him. And it was just a very lackluster rendition of Happy Birthday that day, you know. They phoned it in, I think. I made him do it 3 times. I'm like, come on, guys, a little energy. Who died? Oh, he did. Yeah. My grandfather was blind, which I know is one of those things you're not supposed to joke about, but he told me once that blind people actually really like jokes about blind people. So, well, he told that to someone that he thought was me. I never talked to him. Blind people are creepy. Any Chiefs fans out here? Yeah, Super Bowl. A lot of people like to make fun of football players. I'm not going to do that. I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. Like, think about the dedication and commitment it takes to work your whole life towards winning one game that you know you're not going to be able to remember later. That's unless you're a kicker. Those guys figured it out. They're like, so we get half the money, but there's no chance I murder my family in my 40s? Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Is that too dark? Too dark? Okay. My wife says it's too dark. Anybody have the coronavirus? Anybody dying from that? No? I hate being sick. I had the flu last year, and it was so bad I actually had to go to a doctor and pay for medicine, which I hate doing. The doctor gave me an inhaler, which I had asthma as a child, so I knew how to use it, but I haven't used an inhaler since I was 12 years old, and it actually kind of made me feel like a kid again, you know? I went home, I made SpaghettiOs for lunch. I watched cartoons all afternoon. My parents got divorced again. It was nice. All of the medicine the doctor gave me had that same warning on it. Do you guys know the warning? Do not take if you consume more than 3 alcohol drinks per day. And I read that, and for the first time I realized I have to stop drinking if I want to get better. So I died of the flu. Yeah, I love drinking, guys. I'm so good at it. It's winter time. Does anybody here besides me like winter more than summer? Fuck. I do. I love winter. I like winter clothing. I'm a big guy. As you can tell by how close I am to the ceiling, I am 14 feet tall. And winter clothing creates a lot of what lawyers call reasonable doubt. You know what I'm saying? You put on a baggy sweatshirt, you grab a bottle of Gatorade, you go out in the world and nobody knows what's going on under there, you know? I think Under Armour should change their slogan to maybe it's muscle, right? I like winter. I like summer too. Summer's got a lot of good things going for it. You got baseball, you got vacations, you got Jesus' real birthday. Look it up. I sweat a lot, you know? I'm a big guy. I sweat. My least favorite thing about summer has to be the heat. My favorite thing about summer, no school shootings. Yeah. Guys, if you don't laugh at that, it feels like you want there to be school shootings in the summer, right? You're like, why should they get 3 months off? I'm terrified year round. It's Valentine's Day. I think the hardest thing about Valentine's Day is figuring out how much money you're supposed to spend. You don't want to spend too little. 5 or 6 years ago, I ordered my wife some flowers off of the internet. It It was like a pop-up ad or like a Facebook like promotion. I don't know what it was. They were like $12 for a dozen roses and a card. And they got delivered to her, and the flowers were all dead. Like, less of a loving gesture than like a threat, like, you're next. And the card, in lieu of the traditional Valentine's Day gestures like Cupid or a heart, it was just a boat. Just a boat floating at sea. No words, inside or outside. Just a boat. And the card was wet. I assume to like prove it was a real boat. I don't know. So you can't, yeah. I hear about it every year. Spend money on Valentine's Day, guys, but you don't want to spend too much either. That's the thing. Like, when we had just been dating for like 4 months, for Valentine's Day, I took her out to a nice restaurant. I bought her a pair of like diamond earrings. Like, not good ones, like starter diamond earrings, like my first diamonds, you know? But they came in a really nice box. And we're at this nice restaurant, and I pull this nice box out, and she turned into like a cornered animal. Like, have you ever seen a bird that somehow got into a house and doesn't know how to get out? That she's just like, what's happening? What is this? What? She thought I was proposing to her. You got to find like the sweet spot. You got to know how much money you need to spend on Valentine's Day. And I've got a way to help you guys out. I've created something called a sex tax return. It lets you know how much money you need to spend on Valentine's Day. Here's what happens. You're going to calculate all of your gross annual sex, which is all of the sex you had last year, including the gross sex. Then you're going to take away your deductions. The deductions are like the sex you had that you don't think you should have to pay any gifts for, like birthdays, or like makeup sex, or like any time both of you had more than 2 drinks. Then you take away your exemptions, which are like the things you did in the last year that you think should count against your sex tax, like gifts you bought, or like times you helped them out, or like butt stuff, you know? And whatever's left over, that's your sex tax. That's how much you need to spend on Valentine's Day, right? It's genius, and the best thing is for comics, they'll pay almost no sex tax because pity fucks are considered charitable donations. Yeah. That worked better last year, that's fine. This is a good looking crowd. I think Brett said that. There's like more good looking people there than you usually see at a comedy show, which I think is weird. What? This guy's got a good beard. You got tattoos? No? Come on, man, beards and tattoos, that's where it's at, right? You said that like you want me to ask more questions, and I'm not gonna. I played that game before. Beards and tattoos are very popular among like younger people. You know, you go to like the campus here at KU, you see all the guys with beards, tattoos. You know who's gonna be pissed off about that? Bikers, right? Like bikers spent the last like 50 years developing a reputation of being like the toughest people you could see, and you knew them by their distinctive beards and tattoos. Like it used to be, if you come into a place like this, like the pool room, and you see 2 guys like shooting pool with like big beards and tattoos on their arms, you'd be like, oh my God, those guys look like Hell's Angels. Like, we gotta get out of here. That guy probably just got out of prison. If I go into that same room today, I see those same 2 guys shooting pool, I'm like, oh my God, those guys look like graphic designers. The guy looks like he just like runs a blog, it's pictures of his cats reenacting scenes from The Big Lebowski. Calls it the Big Meowski. Yeah. I used to say Casablanca there, but nobody remembers that movie anymore. It's a sad throwaway culture we live in. I may just be jealous I can't grow a full beard. When I was dating my wife when we were younger, she was like, why don't you have a beard? I like beard, you should grow a beard. And I told her, like, I actually can't grow a full beard, it's not that unusual. In fact, Justin Timberlake can't grow a full beard either, which at the time I believed to be true. And she just launched into this list of all the reasons I have no business comparing myself to Justin Timberlake. And I got angry. Not because of what she was saying, but because of how well prepared she was. She put some planning into this, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm not like a manly man. I like to think I am. I think I do things that are like stereotypically manly. Like I like to build things. I like to do woodworking. I like to drink alcohol to excess nearly every day. I like to hide my emotions behind a mask of polite indifference. You know, guy stuff. I'm not like a beer commercial guy though. Like I don't drive a big truck around. My friends and I have never like just stopped and played football in a field. Like I've never had sex with twins, you know? Or even a twin to the best of my knowledge. Although it's never occurred to me like halfway through sex to be like, hey, you know where I can find anyone else who looks just like you? But maybe talks just a little less. Might kill the mood. I never got the twin thing. I didn't. I've never once been about to have sex and be like, you know what would really kick this up a notch for me? Some incest. Yeah. Let's get some family in here. How's your grandpa? Is he spry? You got good knees? Call him up, man. Do you guys think they should call having sex with a much older relative ancest? Guys, that's the best joke of the night here. That is gold. I can remember the first time I felt like a man, the first time I felt truly manly. It was the first day of school, 8th grade. I was in lunch. I was at a table with a bunch of my stupid friends, and there was a table next to us of girls from our class. And I could hear them like talking about the changes to the boys' bodies. Like, one of them was like, did you guys see how tall Blaine got? And I was like, did you guys see Jesse's muscles? And I hear this girl, Lindsay Voth, who I can use her name because she's dead. To me, she's dead to me. It's fine. You've heard this joke before. Lindsay Voth goes, did you guys hear how deep Cody's voice got? And that really like got my attention because I was Cody. I still am. And she turns around at the table and she goes, hey, Cody. And I did this like super cool, super slow turn. I go, yeah. And all these girls' eyes lit up and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have so much sex at the 8th grade. This is gonna be incredible. That didn't happen because her next question was, what'd you do this summer? And I, still very low, very cool, went, I went to space camp. And I remained a virgin for 4 more years, you guys. It's like I was re-elected the president of virginity that day. 4 more years. I did go to space camp, yeah, I'm a huge fucking nerd. I don't have to try to like act manly now because I am married, like, I don't have to try to like hit on women, which is good because I don't think I'd even know what to do if I had to. I was at a party earlier this year, or last year, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys because I feel like we're all friends now. I was being delightful. I was being funny, people were paying attention to me, you know, I was in a good mood. And my friend comes over to me and he's like, hey man, just so you know, that girl over there, she asked me what your deal is. Like asked whether I'm like single or whatever. That's what she meant, that's not how I took it. I thought she was asking whether I'm autistic. Yeah. Not the first time I fielded that question, by the way. And I went up to her and I said, probably the worst thing you can say to a woman who's considering you as a potential sexual partner. I go up and I'm like, well, I've never been tested. But I like even numbers and I find patterns reassuring. Are we doing this or not? What's going on? I love that joke because I actually do prefer even numbers. Like the other day I drove my car to work and I realized my radio volume was like 37. And I was like, well, this day's ruined. Nobody else OCD? Okay, that's cool. I am married. My wife and I, we recently celebrated a big milestone. We've been married for 10 years now. Yeah, thank you. Like 7 of them happy, which is pretty good. That's like a C-, yeah. C's get degrees, right? A lot of my friends in comedy are single, and they ask me, like, what's it like to be married? Which is a weird question. For a long time, I didn't know how to answer that, but recently something happened, and now I do have an answer to that question. Earlier last year, like last summer, my wife was honored at her job. Like, she'd been there for like 15 years. They had a big banquet, had like food and drinks. She got an award. I was not invited, you know. No, I had a show out of town, but I picked her up on the way home because she'd been drinking. And the first thing she says to me when we get in the car, she goes, I want mac and cheese. And I was like, it's 11:30 at night. You do not need mac and cheese. She's like, I want mac and cheese. I'm like, I'm tired. I've been working all day. I don't want to make that for you. She says, I want mac and cheese. I'm like, you're going to get home. You're going to get in bed. You're going to fall asleep. You don't need mac and cheese. But she wanted mac and cheese. So what do you think I did, guys? I made her the goddamn mac and cheese. Yeah, I'm not an idiot. She took a shower. I heated it up. I even put it in a different bowl after I heated it up so it wouldn't be too hot in bed because I'm a romantic. And I'm coming down the hall with it. And I get to the door of the bedroom, and guess what? She's asleep. Yeah. It's adorable, right? So I woke her up. And I made her eat every bite of that goddamn macaroni and cheese. And to me, that's marriage. Just force-feeding pasta down a half-asleep woman at 11:30 yelling, congratulations on your award! My wife's better looking than I am. You just all agree with that? Nah, she doesn't age. That's weird. She still kind of looks the same as she did when we started in when she was 20 years old. I do not. At this point, I kind of look like the package you would ship 21-year-old me in, just like a bigger, bulkier, flattened version of it, It's kind of the same shape. You can kind of tell what's inside, but it's all stained and smooth in weird places. I'm like a travel guitar case with a drinking problem, basically. Does that make sense? You love that joke. You've heard that one before too. Now I think most guys though, they want if you're in a relationship with a woman, you want them to be better looking than you, right? Guys don't want to be the pretty one in the relationship, right? No guy wants to bring a girl home to their family and have them be like, oh yeah, is she funny? Which is probably the hardest part about being gay, just deciding who the ugly one is, right? No, that's a good joke, guys. That's a good joke. I told it to some friends of mine who were married, they were gay, and they looked at each other when I told them that, and you could tell that up until that moment, they both thought they were the pretty one. And 2 months later, they got divorced. That's a strong joke. It elicits a strong emotional response from them. I don't know. I just keep getting fatter. That's my whole thing. That's what I'm all about. I think I get a little fatter every day. I've literally never seen a picture of myself where I'm fatter in the picture. Does that make sense? Every photo I take could be my before photo if I just ever got to the after. I don't know. I try to lose weight. It's hard. I don't like to eat healthy food. My wife tries to buy fruits and vegetables. She bought some grapes. She's like, try these grapes you like, and they're cotton candy grapes. I was like, why are they called cotton candy grapes? She said, because they taste like cotton candy. I'm an idiot. I'm like, just because something is named something doesn't mean that's what it's about, right? Growing up, I went to high school with a bunch of guys who like to wear those wife-beater tank tops. And to this day, not a single one of them has ever driven a tank. See, you thought I was going to say that none of the guys I went to high school with have ever beaten their wives, right? Yeah, man, I wish I could. I'm from Kansas, though, One of my friends tried to help me. She told me when I diet, I like to play this game where I see how long I can go each day before I eat any food. And I said, okay, well, when I was 12, I tried to use my neighbor's shop vac to masturbate. I thought we were just comparing stupid ideas. I didn't understand the game, I did it one time, and it works, huh? No, I was a skinny kid, which I think is good. You don't want to be a fat kid because people like to pick on fat kids, or at least I do, I grew up in a very small town in the middle of Kansas. When I was in junior high, there was this kid, we would pick on him. He was heavier, and after lunch every day, we would walk circles around him. And he'd be like, what are you doing? And we said, you're so fat, your gravity has drawn us into orbit. Because when you live in a small town, you can be a bully and a nerd at the same time. You can do it all. Last year, my mom sent me a newspaper article. That kid that we bullied back, 20, 23 years ago, he was arrested for sexual molestation of a minor. Yeah, and I thought about what we had done to him, the effect that had, And honestly, I felt terrible. You know, because I'm sure if we had just bullied him a little bit more, we could have made him kill himself. And then I'd be a hero. I would be a hero. Have you not heard that one, Therese? That joke is like a stepfather, guys. You may not like it, but you will respect it. Okay? Guys, thanks for coming out tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause here. Spending your Valentine's Day with us. I appreciate that. Brett appreciates that. For most of the comics up here, this is not our full-time job. Most comics work a different job. I'm no different. When I'm not on stage telling hilarious jokes about murdering high schoolers, I work as a lawyer. Which the first thing anyone asks when you tell them you're a lawyer is, you know, how do you sleep at night? No, they always ask, what kind of lawyer are you? Which is a little weird, like, you don't ask that of every job. I don't think anyone's ever been like, oh, wow, what kind of garbage do you collect? You know? It's like lawyers and doctors, like jobs that have these like niche areas, right? Like, you can't just be a lawyer, you have to be a lawyer of something. You can't just be a doctor. You have to be a doctor of something, right? Like, it didn't used to be that way. 100 years ago, if you were a lawyer, you were just a lawyer. You just did everything. If you were a doctor, you were just a doctor. 50 years before that, if you were a lawyer, you were just also a doctor, you know? They're like, you can read? Yeah, do whatever, you're in charge. People ask me what kind of lawyer I am, and I tell them bankruptcy. That's what my firm does. We represent people who want to file for bankruptcy. But that doesn't really tell you what kind of lawyer I am. Here's what kind of lawyer I am, guys. About a year ago, I went to work and I sat through 4 hours of appointments with potential clients, people considering hiring our firm, paying us money to represent them in federal court, with dog shit in my shoe. Okay? Like, I have 3 dogs, and at some point in the morning, one of them had like crouched over my shoe, put something in there. I put my foot in it, kind of pushed it to the front, and I went to work. Yeah. And at this point in the story, everyone's always like, didn't you smell something? Yeah, I smelled something. I just thought all these people smelled like dog shit. I'm like, that's the 4th one today. What a coincidence. It was gross, you guys. It was gross. Like, my sock kind of acted like a tea bag, you know? Kind of like kept out the hard parts, but the liquid got into my toes. You guys ever go to the beach and like when the tide comes in, you dig your toes in the sand, you know, that feeling? Imagine that, but with dog shit. For 4 hours. It was so gross I almost threw these shoes away. And that's really what kind of lawyer I am, all right? When you tell people you're a lawyer, they always think you're smart. That's not true. I know a lot of lawyers here are dumb. Every law school, every year, has one person who's the dumbest person who still gets to be a lawyer, right? And they probably make more money than me. I'm not a smart person. I've come to realize that. Until I was 27, I thought the word misled was pronounced misled, because that's how I read it. And honestly, I still kind of think it's better. Like, which one of these sounds better to you? Like, man, that car is a real piece of junk. That guy really misled me. Or, man, that car was a real piece of junk. That guy really misled me. It's better, right? It's like meaner and a little anti-Semitic, I think, which is what we're going for there.
Nope. Hate it.
All right, try this one out. Until I was 31, I thought that Montel Jordan, the guy that sang This Is How We Do It, was the host of the Montel Show. Which isn't entirely my fault. I'm from a town of 1,000 people in the middle of Kansas. I never met any Montels, you know? Like, I thought they were some sort of like mythical black character like Oprah or Batman or something. I don't know. I'm still dumb, guys. Last year I had to pay my registration for my car. I didn't get my tags, you know? I went to Dillon's over on 6th Street. You all been there? And they got a treasurer's office in there, so I go in, you know, I like take a number, I stand in line for like 10 minutes, I get up there, I pay my fees, I get my paper with my little sticker on it, I go out to my car, I like wipe the old dirt off the sticker, I put the new sticker on, and I go around to get in my car to leave, and I couldn't, because it wasn't my car. Put my sticker on the wrong car, y'all. And I go back and I try to take it off. But I couldn't, because that's like how they make them, you know? So I had to go back inside, get a new number, stand in line for 10 more minutes, and then tell this guy, hey, I put my sticker on the wrong car. Can I have another one? And he looked at me with this look on his face that I think was trying to convey, like, I'm pretty sure you're fucking me here, but I can't figure out how. Kind of looked like this, like, for 2 minutes. And I gave him a look on my face that I hope conveyed, like, take all the time you need, I'm an idiot. It was like this, like, for 2 minutes. And finally he says, I have never heard of that happening before, but I'll give you another sticker. And he did, and I left. I went to work, and I told the women in my office what had happened, and they said it wasn't my fault. They said all those Kias kind of looked the same. But here's the thing, you guys, it wasn't even the same kind of car. It was just some white car. Like, I racially profiled my own car that day. I told my wife about it, and she asked a question that a lot of people ask. They're like, did you at least stay and tell the person whose car it was what you had done? And I was like, no, I don't want anyone else knowing about this. Which at the time I thought I did them a favor, because I basically just gave them 7 free months of registration. Because yes, I realized it was the wrong month when I put it on there. But I looked it up when I got to work, because I'm a lawyer, I can do that. And in Kansas, it is illegal to display the wrong sticker on your license plate. Meaning that at any point, that person could be pulled over, and they could use that as pretext to search their car, check for warrants. Somebody could go to prison because I was too stupid to put my sticker on the right car. And honestly, that's what kind of lawyer I am, guys. I'm Cody Lindenberger. Thank you so much.